for our super quick tech tool talk. So keep your questions on the side, and we will have plenty of time to talk to you about specific questions that you might have. And I'm just going to kind of walk you through some things, and then you can see what's useful for you. Some of you may be really familiar with a lot of this already. So I want to first talk about why we would be recording using Zoom. And there are a lot of reasons. So there are some different, there's just so many reasons you might be recording, but these are some that come to mind. First of all, you're sharing your, your PowerPoint. So you have slides that you want to show for your class, and you're not going to have a synchronous session. You're having an asynchronous session. You want to post those slides or the PowerPoint with you talking over them as material for your students to access and review. Okay. You might also have something that you want to walk through, like on a whiteboard. Maybe it's a problem you're showing them how to solve. So you're going to want to record your whiteboard and post that as a video. Websites, maybe you're having them do something where you want them to navigate to a certain place. So you want them to watch you navigating through that website. Could be a quick, maybe tutorial video. It might be something where it's a video of something. It could be a film, could be a video of a field setting where you're going to play the video, but stop it and make some commentary, some analysis, kind of thing you would do in person, but you're going to record that whole thing and place it there as an object for your students to look at. Could be document. Maybe there's an essay that was submitted that you really want to use as a generic feedback tool. So you don't have the student's name on it. Maybe it's even from a prior semester, but you want to walk them through what the student did in that essay and what is important for them to do, let's say, before they do their own assignment. Could be that you have a colleague who's really wonderful in the field of study that you are teaching your Hunter students about. And instead of taking up the class time where everyone sits and watches live, and maybe there's an internet problem or the timing doesn't work, someone's in Texas, they have a different time zone, you're going to do the interview, talk to that person, and then record it as a material, again, for your students to review. It could be that you want to open up Blackboard and walk them through exactly how to do something with an assignment, okay? And it could be something with exams, you're giving them some kind of feedback, right? So there's many more, of course, variations, but these are just some ways to think about posting video material where you, as the instructor, facilitate your students' understanding. In other words, it's not material you just want to stick there, like your PowerPoint is a good example. I could give you my PowerPoint for class, but it's really different than hearing me talk through the slides and having students listen, right? So that could be done, again, for an asynchronous session where you're not going to see them in person, but it could also be material that you're posting and you are going to meet them synchronously that week. But you don't want to take up the whole synchronous time doing certain things that they could have reviewed on a video. Okay, so those are some of the reasons that you might be working with those video recorded materials. Okay. The tools to do it. The reason why Zoom is super easy to use is that you're probably already familiar with Zoom because you open Zoom sessions all the time to have a synchronous class, to have a meeting, et cetera. And there are a lot of other tools. I know Xiao has done some things on Screencastify. I believe Sarah is going to be doing a really great session on Loom, not to be confused with Zoom. And Loom is a really nice tool. So those you might decide to learn about as well. But because Zoom is really easy and you're familiar with it, it may be just one of those quick ways to create your video. So you know that when you go to your Zoom, you're going to locate your slides to share the screen, because once you're sharing them, then you can start to record. Now, of course, no one's there. It's just you by yourself, you, yourself, and I. You open up your own Zoom session. no one's there. You share your screen, and you make sure you're unmuted. You have your video on, or you can have your video off too, doesn't matter. And then you're going to hit record. And that's it. You know, you're talking, you are presenting, you can obviously make any commentary you want. Some things to think about with that are some of these stop and start strategies as you're doing it. So you might want to think about pausing when you're like, ooh, I'm stuck here. I need a moment. I need a break. If it's maybe a lengthier piece of talk that you're doing, you could just hit pause record, go do something, get your cup of tea, come back and continue where you were. If you want to create one continuous video file that you don't have to edit or deal with. If you know that you want to make segments, so a lot of what we've learned about using materials like video for students to review is that they kind of reach a point where they can no longer really absorb or focus. I usually say 10 minutes. Shao would say like 5 minutes. Basically, it's a lot shorter than you would expect. Now, that doesn't mean you have to create your video in 25-minute slices, because the student can also stop, and that's the good thing. They can pause and come back to it. But one of the things you might do, so for example, I recorded something last week for an asynchronous session. There was a whole kind of background piece, and that took about 15 minutes of, once I looked at the recording. And then there was another piece where I walked them through some like really practical strategies for dealing with that first part. So they kind of had a natural separation. So I wound up kind of creating 2 videos, each about 20 minutes. But the total amount is 40 minutes. And that's a lot of video, but it's a class where we're not meeting in person. So you have to kind of think about how many other materials are they looking at that week? Is it replacing a live class, et cetera? But the nice thing about hitting stop and restart is your Zoom is going to create a new file. So once I hit stop, that's video file 1. I start recording again. I hit stop, that's video file 2. So when I go back to share those links, I don't have to deal with splicing or editing. They're already 2 different videos. So that's something to kind of keep in mind, as you're planning your recording sessions. So some of the things with recording
So Laura, can I just ask you something? So if you hit pause, it's still in the same file, but if you hit stop, then it closes the file.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, exactly. You got it. Okay, so one of the things you want to think about is before you get set up is, will I be sharing different screens? In other words, as I go. So for example, right now, when I hit share screen, I'm only sharing my Google Chrome browser window application. That's the only thing you're seeing. I didn't say share desktop, right? Now, let's say in the middle of this, I want to actually show you something that is on my desktop. It's not on this browser. I'd have to stop sharing and reshare. Now, that's not the end of the world while you're recording. It will just continue recording. But if you want something seamless, then you might want to make sure you just share your whole desktop, clean your desktop off, like me, put everything into a folder and you never look at it again. Or you could put everything on a tab, so you're just basically ready to go tab to tab. If you're sharing, let's say, the whiteboard, and then you're going to share something else, you're going to have to always come out, share the whiteboard, unshare, and then reshare again, just so you know. Okay, sometimes you want to know, where's your video going? So you have in the settings of your Zoom account some options for where and how video gets stored, either to your local computer or to the cloud. I used to save it to the computer. I don't know, because I was afraid something would happen to it, or I don't know what, but it's such a hassle to share it to your computer, because then for me to get it to my students, I have to move it somewhere like a Google Drive or something where they can get to it, because these are big folders or files. So I only use the Zoom Cloud now. It's so organized. It's so easy to find your video and then to share the link. And then you don't have to have that extra step of uploading it somewhere and finding and creating a link. It's all kind of built into the Zoom. With permission. So another thing you want to ask yourself, let's say, this is another twist. Okay. Let's say instead of you recording a session that you're giving to your students, what you're interested in is how do your students record things? How do they record your session? So let's say that Mark Holling, he's on this call right now. He just wants to record a piece of it. All right. If I have my Zoom permission set up, I can allow other people to record my Zoom. So I'm hosting. Mark hits record. He records some component of this. He hits end. He'll actually be able to retrieve that video on his desktop, on his computer, but not until this whole session is over. Okay, so that's just something that has come up for people with the recording aspect of Zoom. With the captioning, as far as I know, there's no automatic captioning in Zoom. The captioning is possible with a third-party server or someone or service or somebody who will physically do it, which you're probably not going to have. So one of the things I wanted to show you is with Google Slides, which is what I'm using right now, and also works with PowerPoint. I just happen to use Google Slides. I can turn on captioning. And then as I speak, you're seeing an automatic captioning appear. It's not perfect because it can't be. It's not like having a professional captioner, but it's a tool at least to provide some accessibility. So what you can do is turn on the captioning as you present in your PowerPoint or your Google Slides. And then if you record your screen, so you are going to want to choose on Zoom, record your desktop, it's going to pick up the captioning later on your video. So again, it's not perfect. It will have a lot of errors, but it's something just so you know as a workaround to the fact that you don't have a professional captioner on your Zoom. I'm going to turn it off now for a second. Okay. I want you to know you can do it. All right. All you do is you take a moment by yourself when you're peaceful, when you're there serenely doing your yoga, and you just turn on record. Nobody's there. Do it for 5 minutes. Share your screen, share a PowerPoint, just say blah, 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 blah. Then stop and go find it and watch it. That's all there is to it. Okay. That's how quick and easy it is. A little extra thing that is kind of interesting. There are a couple of free tools. One is called Edpuzzle and one is called PlayPosit. They are tools that are used for putting video, and it could be video from YouTube. It could be your own video that you've made for your class session. Once the video is loaded to either of these sites, as you watch it, you can stop it, hit stop, and it pops up with a whole bunch of question types, open-ended, multiple choice, etc. And it creates kind of a bubble on the timeline of the video. And it prevents students from going past that bubble until they've responded. So for example, let's say you have a lengthy PowerPoint and you want to really make sure students are listening to it and responding. You could also add in bring your video into one of these type of tools that forces them to stop and answer. If you wanted to, for example, make an assignment out of it, you could then review what they've answered at each of those marking points. And it'll be clear if they've actually watched through the video from their responses as well. Okay, so that's it. I did it really good today. I'm in my 20 minutes. So we have time